Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dr. Finance Live podcast. This is Dr. Anthony M. Criniti IV, also known as Dr. Finance. And we have with us today Cevin Bryerman, very special guest. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Cevin. I'm not going to tell too much. He's got a lot to tell us. Cevin Bryerman is the publisher and executive vice president of Publishers Weekly, the international news platform of the book publishing industry. He's been in the publishing business for more than 30 years, working at the helm of both trade and consumer magazines in strategic planning, business development, and strategic partnership. Cevin is a legend. He's going to tell you all about himself today, and let's introduce and give Cevin a great warm welcome. Hello, Cevin, and welcome.
Welcome. Thank you for inviting me, Dr. Finance. I never thought I would meet a doctor that's in finance. I always used to see medical doctors, but great to be here. I'm excited to have a conversation and looking forward to this conversation in the next hour or so, whatever it is.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Cevin. I welcome you too. And let's get started. Let's try to understand how you became in the position you are. Can you tell us a little about yourself?
Sure. Like any good parents, they tell you got to go to college and get a business degree. So I went to college and got a business degree. I graduated with an accounting and finance, specialized in international finance, and got my MBA and stuff like that. So I continued on working in finance. I worked for Dun & Bradstreet International for 5 years. And from there, I parlayed into working for a private equity partnership, which was headed by Walter Cronkite, the famous newscaster. He had a stable of magazines as a financial guy. And from there, his properties were bought by Connors Publishing. And I came over as the controller and financial guy for several publications. One is Publishers Weekly, which I'm presently involved in now, Library Journal, School Library Journal. And from there, we were sold off to Reed Elsevier, which is this major corporate conglomerate. I was this finance controller in that generation, where we bought and sold magazines. I was responsible for a lot of consumer magazines. I was involved with Variety, Modern Bride, American Baby. So a wealth of financial strategic initiatives throughout my career. And then 15 years ago, I became the publisher at PW, and we took PW private 10 years ago. We're now on the, well, Anthony didn't tell you this, but now I'm the CEO of Publishers Weekly.
Oh, congratulations.
So just announced this morning. So
Wow.
it's kind of going out in the news wires today, but been involved in publishing for many, many years. And my specialty is help growing PW to the next level.
Wow, that's fantastic, Cevin, and big congratulations. That's a huge responsibility. CEO.
I call that the chief bottle washer. I get all the complaints. Now the real fun starts. But it's been a great career. I have a good, strong financial backing around me, so I understand not only publishing but also the finance behind publishing, and I can size up companies right away and understand their mission and strategy. So it gives me kind of a sales role, but also a financial role about finance for publishing.
And if you don't mind, let's step back. Let's go back to childhood. Did you ever anticipate you'd be the CEO of Publishers Weekly when you were young?
No, I was anticipating playing for the New York Yankees shortstop, but I don't think I had the speed in my arm. But I never thought I'd be in publishing. I never thought I'd be in finance. I really wanted to be in marketing and sales, but I was led to a different direction, which I don't regret, because I think having a financial background kind of opens up a lot more doors for you than just being part of a marketing team or whatever it is. I never dreamed to be, in publishing, but it kind of fell into it with my financial background, which I think helped me get to the level I am today as CEO of Publishers Weekly.
So that was the question I was going to ask you too. What role did the finance play in your life? And I see that you have a bachelor's degree in finance.
So it gave me an understanding. I did a lot of acquisition work, M&A work, financial reporting, budgeting. I think that's the crux of building a good business and having a great financial education. So with that acumen in my studies and understanding how a business works through finance, it has get me into other levels of business. And I always believe that if you have a strong finance background, it can lead you to many doors. Whether it's a CEO of a company or owning your own business, I think people need to understand the finances of running a business, because most business I feel that fail don't have a strategy or a business plan in place. And that comes with financing, understanding the numbers and how it all puts together.
Yeah, that's a great answer, Kevin. I agree 100%. Well, if you want, can you give us a brief history of Publishers Weekly, just so that the audience understands about the company you work for? Maybe like 30 seconds or so.
Sure. PW has been around for 150 years. It's the largest review meeting in North America. We offer the trade. Our readership is librarians, publishers, booksellers, agents, wholesalers. So we are considered the Bible of the industry. If I make a parallel, if people know about Variety, it's kind of on the equal par of a major magazine, or if you want to make in terms of a consumer reports, we are an authority on reviews and books, and we can help or sell or break books in the industry.
And
So
it's the oldest too, right? It's been around since what,
18 something, 150 years. We're celebrating
Wow.
150 next year. So has a rich tradition of publishing. Publishing house will look for PW to help create buzz about a book through our reviews or through our editorial content, through our marketing. So it's a tradition that has lasted because it's a good housekeeping sale for publishing.
And why is having Publishers Weekly review so special compared to other review companies?
I would say we're the leader in the industry. Publishers, I would say publishers, librarians, and booksellers depend on review. Reviews help sell books in the marketplace. If you think about it, booksellers and librarians who count on reviews use that as a purchasing decision. If you get a review in PW or any other our competition, I'm not embarrassed to say LJ, SLJ, or other people, it's the way to how librarians, booksellers still order books through traditional reviews. So it helps sell books in the marketplace if you get a review. It's an ordering tool.
Excellent. And well, let's move into a different category, Kevin. We're going to talk about books now. So the nature of publishing has been changing. What do you think is the future of books, like physical books?
Well, I think publishers are looking at books as content. Content. Traditionally years ago was you go through a distributor. Distributor reaches out to booksellers and librarians. But I think with the age of the internet and social media, I think it's more about content. If you look what's going on with Netflix and Hulu and all the streaming services, they're looking for content and looking for a book to turn that content into a screenplay or some type of TV series. If you look at the Academy Awards, a lot of the books are a lot of the awards or the Oscars are books. So it's not just about producing a book now. It's about the rights of the books. It's selling books worldwide. You have audiobooks that stem off of the content. You have downloads off the content. So a book is more than just a book like it was 30, 40 years ago, because technology has changed the world. So to me, a book is content, and how do you turn that into a financial opportunity for you?
Absolutely. It's just like you have, podcasts and other platforms, Instagram photos, and just all content. You're saying that basically another tool to
Yeah,
sell the brand.
it's content, and think about it as a spoke, right? And from the
Yeah,
spoke, you can go into audiobooks, which is a financial opportunity. You go into social media, which could be a financial opportunity for you. You can go into CDs as a financial opportunity. You can go into many different spokes with the content of a book. And that's what's so valuable, have producing a really good book, because a book will turn into a lot of money for you if you do it right.
do you think that books will still be around in 20, 50, even 100 years from now? I mean, because the way things have been progressing, obviously, go back thousands of years, we had all different forms of books. Everything was really physical. until the past 20, 30 years or so. And now um, there's a lot of sales of audiobooks, as you mentioned, a lot more sales of ebooks. But do you see at a certain point where the physical books, where people just say, I don't want a physical book anymore. Why do I need a physical book? And the new generation won't really understand why you even need a physical book when you have an ebook. Do you think that?
Well, it depends on the person's reading habits. That question was asked 15 years ago at a conference. Print is dead, ebooks are here. If you think about them, print books are still here. Ebooks went up to, and then came down.
Right.
Same thing with other medium. I think print is still here. We're still a print industry. It depends on the generation of what you're comfortable with. I watch people, and we've done focus groups, they're doing 5 things that are different, but I don't think print is going to disappear. I think print is the beginning of things. You can do an ebook and turn it into print. A lot of publishers start with ebooks and they become very successful. They turn it into print. So I don't see print books going away. It's like the automobile, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now there's electric cars out there, but it all depends on the person's reading habits. Maybe 15, 20 years ago, be less print, but that's not what we've seen in the industry. The print is actually stabilized, and it's not going away. We're still a print medium, but it just has different spokes.
Mm-hmm. That's a great answer. I sort of think of the record industry as an analogy, because right now I see a lot of record stores popping up all of a sudden. Like it seemed like it was dying. Like, who needs a record player anymore? You have CDs, DVDs, and then now you have YouTube and a million other platforms. But people are going back because it's vintage.
Well,
It's
people are
history.
going back to vinyls. It has if you're
Yeah,
really
vinyl.
a hi-fi specialist, it has a clearer sound.
Right.
So is it going to, it's going to be different formats. Again, it goes down to personal preference.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it in the near future, but I don't know whether the stock markets can go up or down. But my take is, even PW, we're a print publication. People thought that we would disappear because it's print, that we go all digital. Maybe there'll be one day where we're not a print publication, but this is an industry that doesn't change that fast. Not like other industries where technology has changed the record world because of Spotify and all the other music services out there. But vinyls are still here, maybe not at the same level that it used to be when I was a kid and had hundreds and hundreds of albums. Then I had CDs. It's just like the book. Ebooks is here. It's not going to go away. Downloads are not going to go away, because you look at your cars. When is that radio coming out of your car? So there's all different ways of technology to listen to music and listen to books. Even the streaming services are picking up books. Got Alexa now. You can call up Alexa and they'll read you a book. So print is just a format. I think people should look as a content vehicle, and many ways to monetize that content. So I don't think it's going away in my near future.
Excellent point, Kevin. And now moving one step further, so we talked about books. Now, what about the publishing industry in general? Do you feel the same sentiment, or what's your thoughts on the future of the publishing industry?
Well, if you're following the publishing industry, there's a lot of consolidation that's going on. If you looked at HMH is being acquired by HarperCollins, S&S is being acquired by Penguin Random House. It's just consolidation. It's tough for independent publishers to survive in this marketplace with bookstores, with slim profit margins. We got COVID going on still, where bookstores are trying to survive. Libraries are trying to stay open. So it's a struggle for a lot of small presses, and that's why a lot of authors are doing their own publishing programs, because it's very easy to publish a book. But the real challenge is, how do you market that book? How do you create money out of that book?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's number one mistakes for a lot of indie publishers, or, for lack of a better word, self-publishers. They develop a book, but then they don't put resources how to promote it. Even when you go to the big houses, they want an author that has a strong following, a social media presence. So your answer is that yes, the industry is changing. It still has some old rules like return books, which is kind of crazy in this day and age that you still can return a book. So there's challenges. There's challenges presently now with paper supply, production supply, because a lot of major printing houses went out of business. So it's evolving. I think in 5 years it could be something different. I can see a lot less independent publishing houses. Self-publishing has grown significantly over the last 5, 6, 7 years because authors want to control their own destiny, their own royalties, and make more money that if they would hand off to a traditional publisher. So to me, there'll be consolidation. I think self-publishing or indie publishing will continue to grow. And there'll be a lot of acquiring because a lot of people in this environment can't make a living running a publishing house because the profit margins are very slim, as everybody knows. Because before a distributor takes money out of it, you got returns, you got to pay all these other fees to produce a book. But I think that one of the major issues to make money in publishing is you got to market your services and you got to put your skin into the game. And when I go to conferences, I ask people, especially self-publishers, is this a hobby or a business for you? If it's a hobby, that's great because everybody wants to be a bestseller. I think you got to understand your objectives and what you want from that book. So I kind of went around your question, but there'll be more consolidation going on in the industry. When I was around, there were 6 major publishing houses. We'll be down to 3 or 4 in the next couple of months because consolidation.
They're consolidating even more, huh?
Yeah, well, it's financially, it's a tough business to be in. To be honest with you, as you know, as a publisher, your finance books, it's tough to, before you do everything, once you do everything, how much do you really get out of a book? Is it $2 or $3 or $4 after all your production, your hard work and the hours you put in?
If you're lucky.
You're right, if you're lucky. But again, I go back to the comment that your book is content, and this is where you can make your money. I think like your business finance, you have a niche. You need to know your audience and how to sell into that audience. And everybody's looking for financial education. Everybody's looking for self-help education. So, it's also a great calling card for authors. When they do their speaking tours, they have a book. This, kind of makes them, I got a book and there's money to be made there too. While you're on a speaking tour. So there's, again, it's content. Yes, there'll be continued consolidation in the industry. I just think the economics is not great. And right now with COVID still going on, what's the story with bookstores? What's the story with libraries? And there's still this paper shortage. There's containers still sitting out in the seas trying to get books into the States. So it's not the most lucrative business unless you have a really good financial strategy behind it.
And you've been in the business for a long time. That helps a lot too.
Oh, I can tell you from my own experience, I've been in the business close to 30 years now in publishing. Publishers Weekly had a circulation of roughly 42,000 readers. We have 16,000 readers now. So a lot of people left the industry, consolidations. You can go back in history at PW, and there were many, many major independent, privately owned publishing houses that eventually sold out or didn't survive.
Kevin, you've been very humble so far. Can you tell us about all the accomplishments that you've done for PW since you took over the helm?
Well, my accomplishment. Well,
You changed the business, right?
Well, I changed the business. We were strictly a print. We're probably about 50-50 digital print now. I expanded into have PW produced out of Spain for the Spanish market, which is a growing population and a great opportunity for publishing the Spanish market, the Latino market. I am publishing out of the UAE internationally. I developed show dailies over the years for the major trade shows. We've developed new products. We're launching a US book fair this year in May. We've developed new marketing products, whether e-blast or native editorial. Changed the content of the magazine, more pro-independent presses. I'm in the market, and if I see an opportunity, it's all about networking and putting people together, relationships. And we've built a business off of that, and also understanding what the market needs are and listening to your customers and listening to the people in the industry and just reaching out. And I think the greatest asset I have is listening and networking. And then I figure out what is the right product and does it financially make sense? Look, I built businesses or products with PW and they failed, right? But I've learned from that. But I think the finance background of understanding when you take a risk and don't take a risk. So PW has expanded its readership in print, online, and other products that we would not have done 20, 30 years ago, because I listened to the market. With COVID, it's all about digital. The stores went up, and so we created digital products. We did podcasts, we did interviews online, we in formats. We're using Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. So I'm learning as we go. And I would say I've learned a lot from my failures, and I learned a lot from my just listening to the market. And we've created a business that, 15 years ago, wasn't sure the PW would still be here. And we're still here.
And you saved it. You saved the company, right?
Well, I'll be modest. Yeah, I wouldn't say I saved the company. I would say that there's a great team. Mm-hmm. It's all about, to me, I believe in a team. And if you have the right financial acumen and looking at financial statements, a lot of my decisions they're financial, but they're not financial. It's really a gut feeling. Mm-hmm. Just like yourself, you have a gut feeling, you have a great acumen, and you understand finance and how important it's part of any business, whether it's book publishing or anything. It's an art, and that takes time and years to develop. But I tend to go with what I see in the marketplace. I talk to a lot of people. I try to get buy-in. Look, the U.S. Book Fair is a big gamble for me. It might work, might not work, but it was a strategic move than anything else. I'm not looking to take money now, but I'm looking to increase the awareness of PW's brand in the marketplace. And it is a powerful brand in the marketplace. So that's kind of my take. It's a team effort, and we have great editors. We have a great brand. I'm representing a brand, just like you're representing Dr. Finance as a brand. Mm-hmm. If you have a great brand, you have to figure out how to seize that opportunity.
Mm. Great points, Kevin. Let's turn to new authors. Okay, so obviously the fail rate of authors is extremely high. Odds are completely stacked against them. Considering these difficulties, do you have any message to new authors who are trying to get into the field in terms of the kind of struggles that they have to face, and also just some insight on what they should be thinking about before they even step one foot into this business?
Understand the market they want to go for. I'll give you an example. If you're a health publisher, a health author, who is your audience and how do you reach that audience? Everybody's now developing their mail list because they want to connect with their reader. Once you're a reader, they'll buy a lot of things from you. So I think really understanding the audience that you want to be and where they live and how you get into that audience. I think a lot of indie publishers or authors don't have really a strategy in place. They know how to get a book published. Anybody can get a book published. But what is your strategy? They realize that, and that's why I asked if this is a hobby or not a hobby, is that they have to understand. 1 second, sorry. They have to, what was my point? I lost it.
New authors.
No, I understand. Authors, they really have to understand where they are, where the readers are. They have to have a business plan. You have to understand that they're going to have to put 24 hours in a day for this. Mm-hmm. You and I have talked this before about it's not a part-time job. If it's you understand your objectives, you have to go out and promote yourself. You have to go on your own author tours because you're by yourself. You're not with a traditional publishing house. You have to go to a local library and do a signing. You have to go to a local bookstore and do a signing. You have to create a social media presence. You have to have a following. So I think a lot of authors think, oh, I got a book, and I'm it's going to be a bestseller. I'm going to put it on Amazon. You might get lucky, right? But you got to be out there. It's a full-time job to be an author. If you're working 9 to 5 or another job and you're publishing a book, that's great. That's wonderful. But it's a lot of work. It's like, also you have to educate yourself. There's a lot of great organizations out there called IBPA that give you education. It's like going to college. You got to educate yourself before you spend thousands and thousands of dollars on your book, because it's hard enough for a traditional publisher to sell books, and it's hard enough for an author to sell books. And if you're going to do it on your own, you really have to be realistic of what you want. I hear stories like, oh, I got a memoir. Memoirs don't sell, right? Unless you're Lady Gaga, that will sell. Or you're Obama that got $60 million for his book. It's creating a craft, and you have to understand the craft, and you understand where your audience is, and you need to have a financial business plan to say, does this make sense or doesn't make sense? I've turned down checks to advertise in PW because I know it's not going to work, and I have a reputation. PW's reputation it's a matter of really understanding and getting an education. And I don't think a lot of authors understand that it has to be a full-time business to a certain extent, or you got to put a lot of your own skin in it, because there's nobody just going to throw you a lot of money for your book.
No, that's excellent, Kevin. And actually, we have a lot of authors that'll probably be watching this too, because I'm big on the writing community. And I think that's a common misconception. Actually, I believed it myself for a while too, that basically when you write a book, at the end of that book, there's this pot of gold sitting at the end of the rainbow. It's like, oh, I'm done. The book's done. I'm done. I'm going to make $1 billion and let's keep going. Most people don't realize, and let's see if you agree on this, that's actually the beginning of a new step. Like now it's actually starting. Once your book's done, it's not over. It's actually just beginning, right?
I 100%. You and I have had conversations about your books, and that is the easy part. I can go to a create space, or I can go someplace and publish my book. The other issue I see a lot with people, it's not edited correctly, right? It's not, you and I have talked about cover designs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it the right cover design? Do you have the right, people put taglines on. Taglines don't mean a lot unless they're leading people in the industry. And if you're writing a mystery book, you want a leading author that has read your book and give you a quote. If it's a health book, you want a doctor that's going to endorse it. There's more than, so you're right. That is the beginning of it. But before you even have the book published, you should have a strategy. Is okay, my book is being published on the X date. I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this. The common errors we see when books are sent in for review: the design of the books are not good. It's not been edited properly, and you'll be disqualified for review on PW right away. That it just doesn't meet our requirements. We get 50,000 books a year. We only review 10,000 books.
Wow.
Right. So the competition is pretty strong. And think about it. Out of the 10,000 books, you're fighting with the big houses, the Scholastics, the HMHs, the HarperCollins. So really have a really good package even before you go to market. I can go on and do a picture book right now, but I'm not an editor. I'm not, I'm not an illustrator, but you got to have talent behind the book, and that takes money, and that takes time, and that takes energy, and that also means you got to do your own research. You should go out and talk to people about your book. The easiest thing is go to a bookseller or a librarian. They love to talk about books. Tell them, hey, here's my book. What do you think about it? Right? It's just, I'm not trying to discourage. I'm just trying to prevent people to making the wrong financial mistake.
No, that's what this is all about. And I know the combination of the two of us, we're giving a reality punch to a lot of authors, but the whole purpose of this is to help others. So all we're trying to say, like you said, is not discourage others, but just be mindful that you're going to have to take the time and come up with a financial strategy and realize there's a lot more work, right?
Right. Yeah. Look, I won't tell you her person that I've worked with, but they wanted to give up a lot of their rights. I said, why would you give up your rights? It's all about now taking that right and selling it in different markets. Your book can be sold in China, it can be sold in India. So you got to think about, when you publish a book, what are you going to do with the rights to become successful? That's why big publishing houses want a book, so they can sell the rights worldwide. Mm-hmm. And they want now the entertainment rights to it. Before they didn't want it. They want now, it's guaranteed that if you're going to publish with a big house, they're going to take all your rights away from you, because that's how they monetize that book. So that's the thing about it. How do you monetize your book? How do you get a sale? A lot of publishers are going direct to consumers now. So if you do it right, your success financially will be better than not doing it right, because you're going to make we all make errors in business, and you have to have the finance behind it, take the risk, but understand the dynamics of publishing a book, and that's financial. Anybody can be a publisher, anybody can be a salesperson, right? But it's coming down to, financially, can you put all the skin into it? And finance could be your own hours that you work on it. Finance equates to how many hours you put into a day and how much hours is it worth. If you're a doctor and making X amount of dollars and you do the finance book, you got to figure out that side of the equation too. So it's all
And
awesome.
Kevin, sorry to interrupt you, but and another reality check when you mentioned the finance part, I think a lot of authors misunderstand how much money it's going to take to invest in that book, to get it marketed in a way that will make it to the level that they're trying to get to become all these different things. How much money it's going to take. I mean, unless you have a major influencer's backing, let's assume that you're coming right out of the ground, no one.
Right.
Can you shed light on the monetary part?
I can tell you from my experience what houses spend on promoting a book. It's a minimum of 10,000. It's almost $1 per book or a print run. So if you're printing 5 to 10,000, they're at least putting $1 per book into it. So I would say if you're really serious about it, that's just the beginning. You got to get known. And we've talked about your books and how you need how to get out to the market. That's the biggest failure financially for authors. It's easy to produce a book, but they don't put money behind the other assets they need to develop it. They think, oh, I got my book, it's on Amazon. My cousin gave me 5 stars. My aunt gave me 5 stars. I spent all this money on awards, and
if you're lucky,
I haven't sold the book, right? But I really believe financially you can do well if you find the right niche. And I think, and I think what you have going on for yourself is finance is very important. People want finance. They want to understand the dynamics of the economics of any business, and doesn't have to be books. So I really believe, and I take that from my own business, you got to have some money to put into the skin. If you have no money, you're going to fail right away financially. And you say, I spent $20,000 on my book, but I haven't sold one book. Well, what was your plan? What was your financial strategy behind it? Have you put money into social media? Have you? And this is not discouraging. I'm just saying is, I hear these stories every day. I took my 401k and I spent $10,000 on my book because it's a memoir, and I wanted to leave something, and it's going to be a bestseller. How many times I've heard that in my career? I'd be rich. For every dollar, I'd be rich, even richer, right? Because trust me, 30 years of hearing stories, I wouldn't be doing a podcast, right? I'd be sitting on a beach somewhere, right? And saying, for every dollar I had, I'd be a genius. But I don't know how much more to stress education and financial education. And if you look at some of the successful authors out there, it's about financial education. You look at other authors like yourself and doing finance books. It's educating and educating. Why do we all go to school, right? How many years of school are we on? If you went to graduate school and other stuff, you want to be proficient in that thing, and that's what authors should do. And connect with the leading publications like PW. They can help you, support you, get editorials. So it's a great industry to be in, not knocking it. It's a great calling card for authors when they do speaking tours or they want to be realistic about your objectives and your goals.
And Publishers Weekly could help brand new authors with those services if they need it.
I don't promote PW, but
my podcast.
This is not I think PW or any of our other publications out there can help you to develop it. We have a sister company called Book Life. It's helping indie publishers for discoverability. We want to help authors out in the marketplace. There's great books that don't because they just don't have the capacity to do it. And that's the purpose of PW traditionally, and Book Life, which is another division as well, has different requirements, but gives an author an opportunity to be seen and heard. We are the Bible of the industry. We can help publishers, authors create a brand for something. But I'll preface is that I don't make any promises because I don't know the books. All I can say is even PW or any other brands out there in publishing, they can help, but you got to follow the rules. Like, for instance, traditional publishing, we want books 3-4 months in advance because we're a pre-pub publication for ordering. If you don't hit those requirements, you're not going to get a review from PW, and we don't guarantee reviews. And that's, look at other publications that do it. They have different submission guidelines. You got to follow the rules just to be seen. And if you don't follow those rules, you'll be disqualified. So think about it. An editor comes into the office to select books. There's 1,000 books this week. He's going to go through the 1,000 books. Each book probably will get a minute of his time, right? He's going to look, what's your marketing plan? He's going to, who's your distributor? Is this a thing we want? He's going to look at the cover. He's going to look quickly at the insides of the book. Has been edited right? If he feels this is not worth his time, it's not going to sell, it gets discarded, right? So you got about a minute or two to create an impression, whether it's PW or any other place, about your book. I always tell people, when you send a book in for review, whether it's PW or any other place, explain to you why it's special. Put this as my lead title if you're doing more than a couple books, but you have to capture the attention of a review person within about a minute or two. And if they don't capture it, it goes on the reject cart, we call it, right? Mm-hmm. And it's donated. So there's an art to it, and PW can help you. I'm always open for conversations with people. And that's the way, that's my advice. Every place has a submission guidelines, everybody has own requirements. And our editors are professionals. They've been in the industry for a long time. They either are authors themselves, they're MFA students, they've been schooled, they've been tested. That's why PW has been around for 150 years, because we just don't hire anybody off the street.
Yeah, you have a great team, and you've been very helpful to me too. So I appreciate that, Kevin.
Well, it's that's my job. That's what I love. I'm honest, I'm fair, and I want to help people, but they also have to be realistic about their dreams.
That's right. Thank you, Kevin. Another question about a fun one, I guess. What does it feel like to be in contact with so many celebrity authors? I mean, you get firsthand access to all the best and the best authors that are out there.
I used to be star-studded at the beginning. I'm hanging out I had lunch with this or this. It's fun, but then after a while, it's just business. I'd rather go home and hang out with my family, go bike riding, or it's nice. And, I travel probably 3-4 months of the year, going to different countries, and it's all great. It's all exciting. I meet different people, different publishers. I've been to India, I've been to China, I've been to Mexico, I've been to Italy. I've been around the world, which has been a great experience. But that is because I seek knowledge and networking opportunities, and that will turn it into opportunities for PW. It's nice, but not as much as I think. I also think, even getting to a celebrity, it's difficult. We're working on some celebrities for our book show. It's not that easy. And they also kind of are insulated, because everybody's grabbing them. So I'd rather hang out with hockey players. That's my passion. I'd rather hang out with sports stars. I like authors, and I've been around a lot of good authors, have a lot of fun, have some nice dinners and lunches, but it's nice to walk into a restaurant. Oh, there's that person sitting next to Cevin Bryerman. They walk up to the author, and here I am, like, whoa, I feel so good, right? It's all good, but at the beginning of my career was great, But at this point in time, I like my private life too. I like to do things that I enjoy doing, and I try to separate business with pleasure. keep my family life separate. But I enjoy it. I enjoy representing Publishers Weekly. And I always have a saying when I talk to people, I don't want to go into Wikipedia if PW doesn't exist anymore. I'm the last publisher or last CEO. I enjoy the people. I think the people are really, really fun. They really want to promote what they're thinking, and it's nice. I've been to a lot of award programs. It's nice, but it doesn't faze me anymore.
What's your favorite part of working for Publisher Weekly? Is it the celebrity part or really just?
No, it's not celebrity. It's actually meeting people, actually traveling and meeting people and going to different countries. And going to countries and learning their culture. Like I've been, I used to go to India every year, and I first said, "Oh, I'm going to India. Oh my God!" Right? The people are so
Which part
warm.
did you go, Kevin? Because I went there.
Chennai, Delhi,
Oh.
Mumbai. So it's nice to be with CEO and learn their cultures, understand their way of thinking. I used to go to China. All they wanted to do is take a picture of me. Like, I don't get that. It's learning cultures and learning people and learning not only just CEOs, the people who are in the business. And that's the most enjoyment I've had in my business. And being in finance and accounting, and it's all great, but you're sitting in behind a desk doing annual reports and figuring out strategy, which I love. But I think the best point that I like about it is meeting people, and you can do that through your books. You want to educate and give something that you're passionate about. And that is the most fun that I have, is traveling and seeing people and networking, and that will create opportunities. So when you have a book, and you need to be out in the market and connect with people, and people want certain topics like finance and health and stuff like that. They're thirsty for information, and that's my love, is traveling and meeting different people and putting businesses together and developing products.
How important is networking for the entrepreneur?
100%. If you're not going to network and not talk about your book,
You're standing still.
right, you're standing still. Look, if you're passionate about your book, it shouldn't be hard, right? If you love what you do and you love your book, you should be networking. Network is not with your family. Networking is actually going out and going into situations and talking to people about your book. You go down to the local bookstore, or when you're traveling, you walk into a bookstore. That has been my greatest asset, is putting people together. And I learned that from my mentors in the industry. If you have a human interest, and when you and I talked for the last couple of months, you were getting emails from me from 2:00 in the morning, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I respond. I want to make it, people want to work with people that have an interest in that person, right? I always listen. So if you're passionate about your book, take that passion and network off of it. And you have an interesting topic, people want to learn from you and hear from you. But that means, when you go to a conference, you can go to a book publishing conference. And I think, authors should do that in a way that you're not interfering with the database. Walk around and see what other people are doing. Try to have conversations, try to network with people in the industry about your book. They will give you a lot of information. It's all about the written word. And that is the most fun part of my job, is networking and traveling and meeting people. This is my full-time job. I know a lot of authors don't have that capability because they have another job that they're doing, but it shouldn't be a hindrance on their book. On their free time, they love what they're doing. It's like woodworking. A lot of people sit in the backyard and do woodworking because they love it. It takes away from them. You're very passionate about finance and your books, and that comes out in, because I read some of your books, and there's some of the stuff that's really Q&A and author advice you're giving financially. So
Thank you, Kim.
It's just fun. You got to have fun in what you do.
And that's one of the reasons I liked you from the first day I met you too, actually. You returned my call so quickly, and then the email 2, 3 in the morning. I'm like, this guy he's the boss of Publisher Weekly, one of the owners, and look how quick he got back to me, and with such passion too, to help me with my issues. And I really respect you for that. I said, he's a real entrepreneur, Kevin. I like this guy.
Look, I work for many. I work for many corporations, right? And working for being an entrepreneur in PW is not owned by venture capital. It's all our own hard energy and money putting back in. We went through COVID. We have 41 families that I say I am responsible for or I care about. Not one of them got laid off, right? None of them went on furlough because of COVID. We've gone through a year and a half. And if you look at the publishing industry, it's lost a lot of revenue. PW lost the revenue, but we believe that we're a family. And my first preference when I wake up in the morning, I wouldn't say it's not my pocketbook, it's the 41 families that we're responsible for and we care about. And that was always the mantra of our owner is we are family. And look, I was on a call this morning and we had an issue with somebody. Goes, well, who are you? I said, I'm the CEO of PW. He goes, you're calling me? I said, why would I not want to call you? You have a complaint, right? That makes PW accessible to people. And this is not, I don't brag about myself. I got my new title today, how many emails I've gotten this morning just saying, well-deserved, you a long time over. It's that human connection because I care and I follow up. And that's what you got to do with your books or your own life. People want to be touched in any way they can be touched. And I also put my family first too. So I try to separate it in a way I can. But we think at PW it's a family and people say, oh, congratulations. I said, no, it's not about me. It's about the team that we have built. It's about the editors. I'm just representing a brand. And that's what you're representing, Dr. Finance, your brand and other people's brands, is that it's to me, I don't really have a big ego. I just want to have fun. I want to wake up every morning having fun. And when that day stops having fun, then it's time for me to go work someplace else or just go on the beach. But I'm serious about it. I've been in the industry for 30 years and I have my ups and downs, but I found into something which makes my life easier, that I can connect with people and help people out. And that's, and finance can do that. People don't really have a strong financial education. They know how to sell, they know how to do this, but you think about all the businesses out there, how many fail in a given year because they don't have the right strategy, the right financing behind them, understanding the niche. So have fun in what you do.
These are a lot of wise words, folks. I hope you're getting this because everything he's saying, I have in my second book, The Most Important Lessons in Economics. I don't know if Cevin read it, but he experienced it. And that's the key here. He's actually given you golden nuggets here that you can use to improve your life, which is extremely important. So definitely take note of a lot of this stuff, especially about the networking. And what he's really talking about is transcendence. He's not thinking of himself. He's thinking beyond himself for the team. That's true leaders think like that. So definitely something to make note of. Thank you, Cevin. I appreciate that.
Well, I have reviewed your books. I read some chapters. I can't read every single book, but I did go through a lot of your books. And there's some good financial education there that people should take up on. You have good questions you ask. You have good chapters on strategies. And I'm not just promoting who you are. They had some good content in it, and every book has some good content to it. So I try to help as much as I can. And people ask me, what's the last book you read? I wish I could have time to read a book. I skim, I read my own stuff, but I'd rather be on the phone talking to people.
Very wise words. Thank you, Cevin. A few more questions, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Can you tell us about the U.S. book show? So from my understanding, the Book Expo is now about to be extinct. Is that true? And what is the U.S. book show in relationship to that?
We had first of all, Reed Elsevier owned Book Expo. They used the word retire. So I don't know what the word retire means, but they're not producing it this year. I think there was a different strategy about how they wanted to do a book fair. And once they decided to retire the book fair, I felt strategically that somebody's going to step into my space And if I don't do it, somebody else is going to do it, a competition. So we decided to listen to what people had to say, what they would like at a book fair. So we went around talking to librarians, booksellers, authors, agents, and publishers, and three things that came up that they wanted to see. They want to connect, create buzz about the books, connect with booksellers, connect with librarians, and connect with press. They didn't want the other stuff that was coming in to the show. They kind of want to kind of hone in what they really want to see. And we decided to launch this venture. I didn't realize how much work it is and the stress that I'm getting at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, driving an audience. So we were doing a virtual book fair. And we hope that it's successful to create buzz about book. Basically, that's our strategy. And hopefully it's successful for the future. Hopefully we'll do it again in 22, 23, 24. We've had a pretty good response from the industry. It's a strategy right now. It's not a business, because financially, if somebody said, why are you doing this? People think I'm crazy. Well, you're not making money off of it. The time and energy and the staff they need to hire and create is to create a strategy. And if the strategy is right, I have something for the future. So your earlier question is, what are you doing to change the direction of PW?
Right.
I'm trying to create something for PW. And if I got niched by somebody else, that's just going to damage my revenue stream or my clout in the industry. So that's the US Book Fair. It's you can sign up for tickets.
When's the first one?
The first one is May 25th, 26th, and 27th.
Out in New York City, right?
It's virtually, so anybody can attend. It's not a live show. COVID will not. That's one of the reasons why Book Expo had to not happen. It was at the Javits Center. Right now, Javits Center is the COVID shot center. And people don't want to spend the money on trade shows unless they have the right audience. And this is a virtual trade show, a 3D event, and which also helps cast a wider reach. Because you remember, if you're physically going to a show, whether it's New York or Chicago or LA, people have to get on a plane, people have to spend their money to get there. If they take a booth, it could be $10,000, $20,000. It's just a different experience. And we're hoping that we're giving people a good experience, and then we can expound on that. Other people want to be involved, like agents and indie publishers, indie authors, but we've kind of made it more condensed for what we're hearing people want. And then hopefully next year we can expand to indie publishing, agent help, international. So it's just a beginning, like any book. We're testing the market and see if it works.
Do you think you'll eventually turn it into a physical book show?
I would hope that I would have a partner to help that. We're not a publication that can. I launched a rights fair 2 years ago, and we had a partner. It's a lot of time, energy, and money, and that's not the strength of PW financially and staffing wise. It's a different animal. We're not an exhibit company. We're a content company, and if I can partner with the right person, we would love to do a live show eventually. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work and that's a 10-month cycle to produce a live show.
I agree. I think if you got the right partner who already does this all day long, because I know a little bit about that industry, you need a lot of, they need a whole team of themselves that are experts, that are specialists in what they do.
Right now, working, with my current staff, it's taxing on my sales team, which now is spending less money selling advertising to magazine and selling booth space. I'm spending more time overseeing it versus actually going out in the market and doing what I love to do. Not that I don't love this project, it's just that it's taking my time and energy away from something that I could be focusing on other things. But this to me is a strategic opportunity, just like a book, right? It's in the beginning of a stage, and hopefully we will continue.
Kevin, how has the pandemic changed your life? Do you miss traveling as much as you used to?
Well, I've lost 30 pounds. This is a commercial for Peloton. Um, um, so it helped me get me, yeah. So I lost 30 pounds. I get to spend a little more time home with my family. Um, I miss the traveling. I haven't been on a plane since last year, March, which is kind of like my frequent flyer people calling me up and say, "Where are you? Where are you?" You know, and I'm saying, "I need the miles. I need the points." Um, I miss it. I miss the people. I really do miss the people because that's how you do business. So COVID has affected me probably business wise, because I know when I'm on the road, I can develop products, sell more stuff. Family wise, it's been perfect. I get to spend some time with my mom, who's 95 years old. Um, so it changed the business. You know, we're working remotely. We've gone from 7,000 square feet down to 4,000. We just moved our offices last week. People want to work from home now, especially the millennials. We've learned to publish a publication that comes out 51 times a year in print and digital, to publish a book. We've published a magazine. We've been through Sandy. We've been through 9/11 as a company. We know how to get a publication out. What we miss is the creativity of the impromptu meetings in the office. And we missed that type of, and that's how COVID has affected us. It's affected the industry. They've pivoted more digital assets, outreach. So we've gone through it. Like I said before, through COVID, we kept everybody intact. Everybody was working. Everybody worked remotely. That was a little bit of a challenge, but putting out a weekly publication, being on deadline every Thursday night to get to the printer. We, had issues at the beginning because our printers were in Pennsylvania and the government was turning down. That was a non-essential service at the beginning. So we had a scramble, but the printer talked to the governor, and my understanding, that's what I heard, printing presses were media. So the business has changed. I think people now, it's disrupted the business. People found new tools to do business, and we've learned to do new tools and new opportunities. So it's nice. It's a nice balance. And I get to spend a little more time, but I do miss being on the road. I miss meeting people and traveling and going to people's offices. And, that's what they like. They want you to come to their premises. I miss that. I miss going overseas. I've been, I won't go to overseas probably till next year. And I have a lot of friends in the UAE, in Italy, and these are people that are thirsty for them too to travel. So it's a challenge, but overall, I claimed a little bit of my life back that I didn't realize I had.
So maybe that's a good thing.
No, it's a great thing. It's great. I can get up in the morning. It's at 6 o'clock and not worry about getting on a train and going to Manhattan, right, or getting on a plane. I do my Peloton for an hour and 15 minutes. Have my breakfast, go to work. The only thing which I'm realizing now, we've had this conversation. I was on a conference call last week. It's mental health.
Yeah.
And what's happening now is people are working 10 or 12% more than they have done in the past. And mental health will be a big issue going forward. So there's an opportunity for a book. Mental health is a big issue for publishing houses for our industry, is because you're working all these hours. You haven't left you haven't left your house, right?
Right.
You're not used to doing things. And I think it's weird, it's eventually wearing on people now. And I think, we've been through this for a year now. That's why you see people giving up. They want to go out, they want to enjoy, they want to go to a restaurant. And that's why infection is rising. But thank God for the shots that the deaths aren't high as any. But I think the big issue with our company and other companies is mental health. People working longer hours. Like, what do I do? I'm not a big TV fan. So what do I do to absorb my time? I work. Not because I don't like it. It's just that it absorbs that extra couple hours. I normally would come home at 7 o'clock, right, from the train or from traveling for a whole week. So I didn't have to worry. The extra hours that I just would puddle around the house. I learned how to clean out my attic and find stuff that's been there for 30 years. But I think mental health is going to be a big issue not for any organization, because people just have been sitting in their rooms. I have a great friend who lived in Manhattan, 900 square feet. He had to get out of New York. He moved to Florida for a while. He couldn't be in New York. New York, with all the riots and everything that was going on, you can't go out, you can't go to a restaurant. So he picked up and went to Florida. So you'll see a lot of that, people being transplanted to other states because they want to be out in the outdoors. And that's why, in my belief, that California was such a hot spot because everybody was outside, right? And they were socially mingling. So I think mental health is a big issue now for COVID. And I think you're going to see that as time goes on. It's just a big problem for businesses, I think, and financially for businesses.
Excellent, Kevin. What's your favorite place to visit for book fairs?
My favorite place for book fairs is the Bologna Book Fair. Great food in Bologna. In fact, if you watch CNN and they were doing a food tour, Bologna was a hotspot for food. That's a hard question. I enjoy every place where I go. It's the people that I've met over the years. It's the dinners and the fun time we've had. I've been to the Middle East and going to the Sharjah Book Fair and the very gracious host and and doing things. So I don't really have a favorite book fair.
They're all special.
They're all special. That's a very good point. They're all special in different ways, right? I've enjoyed immensely going to Hong Kong and taking a ferry up to go into China, and the experience of, walking out of China and getting my head checked before I went into Hong Kong, and going through customs there and being a little nervous with the government. So every country is different, or even United States. I've been to probably close to 30 states already, for business wise, from Charleston to Nashville to Pittsburgh to Ohio. So every place is special because I have friends in every place, and personal friends and business friends, because it's just developed over the years. My business friends become into a lot of personal friends because they've helped me in my career. In fact, when I was answering a lot of emails today, I said, it's not about me. It's you helped me within my career. And I'm very humble for that because I know what it's like when they told me 20 years, 10 to 15 years ago when it took over, you got 9 months to prove yourself or you're out, right?
Wow.
So I'm very humble. I'm very humble for the people who are my godfathers throughout my career. And if I ever have a retirement speech, those people always will be recognized because I'm not where I am today without people around me.
What do you want to leave as your legacy, Kevin, on this planet?
I haven't really thought about it. What I want is I just want to keep PW going until it's time for me to find a new venture for myself. So I don't really have a legacy. I don't look at that as a legacy. I just want to keep PW going for the future because there'll be a time where I got to move on. So if that's a legacy, keep PW for another 150 years, and I was part of that legacy. That's all I want. I want to go in the book saying he helped PW survive through the terrible years.
Excellent response.
And they've been terrible years, trust me.
Okay, so I think this will be the last question. What is your favorite financial books?
My favorite financial books. I'm gonna have to give a plug to somebody that you know who it is.
Yeah.
I've mentored with him. I worked together him. We both have a great relationship. Is obviously Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which I know Sharon Lechter has been on your host. She was kind of on it, but I think the greatest thing that I learned from Robert's mentorship and being at his meetings and the inner circle, you got to have your assets throw off income. Like I grew up in the age where you work for a company for 50 years, they give you a pension. That no longer happens anymore, right? In this day and age. So I think from him and learning from other books and even yourself to a certain degree, I only know you for about 4 or 5 months, is having your assets throw off income, because the cost of healthcare in this country is just skyrocketing. Personal thing, thank God I had insurance for my mother. She lives in assisted living. It's $10,000 a year. I couldn't put her in a nursing home. And she has the facilities. So I think reading Robert's books and reading other financial books and being astute in education, I think it's just, I understand it very, very well about financial education and finance. And my kids might say, yeah, I'm so cheap, but you know what? I don't want to, at my age, worry about financial issues. I want to enjoy what they say is the golden years. I'm not sure how golden they can be, but so my favorite books it's just not Roberts, because I've been with him for so many years and helping him. And you can look in his books, so he's acknowledged me in his books, being a mentor to him. So I don't think I have a favorite book per se. I grab knowledge, and I have that financial background, and even having conversations with you about your books has enlightened me in other areas that I wasn't attuned to. And I skim through a lot of financial stuff. I read, online, Kipling's newsletters and Money Magazine. It's just getting a feel of what people are doing. So, like, I was schooled in finance, right? So, as I said, I don't read a lot of books anymore. I just skim a lot of stuff. And then when books come in, I do skim books, mostly books that are going to help me in my career, how to be a better manager, how to be a better person. I tried to lift those expectations, but it's based on your personality. So to me, I only can say that because Robert and I have had a great relationship over the years. I've helped him immensely. He's helped me understand financial issues. And he told me, the stock market's like going to Las Vegas. You invest in commodities like gold and silver. Silver is a depleting asset. So it's just the people I met. So if you want to talk about a book, I would talk about all the financial people that I met in my life, from CEOs to you and Robin and other people. Those are my books, right? You are my book. If you think about it, Dr. Finance, I read chapters in your book. We've had conversation. So I absorb that. To me, if I have a physical book that I read from page 1 to 300. It's the little pieces, the snippets that I have. And that's just how my mind works. Like, that's just how I do things. Like, I'll be in meetings. I don't even take notes. I take notes, but I'm really doodling. Don't tell anybody, but because that's how I'm trained up here.
Mm-hmm.
And financially, I pick up snippets from wherever I go, and it does. But the only reason why I say Robert books is I've been around with him for 10 years now, and I really understand his philosophy. People don't want to understand, but I always believe that assets will throw off income. Look,
Folks, he's talking about Robert Kiyosaki and Sharon Lechter, co-author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad,
like that.
and other books in that
Right,
series.
that he's done through his career.
So thank you, Kevin. I'm going to leave the last moments for you before I close out. You can say anything you want, promote anything you want. This is your floor. I'll give it to you for as long as you need.
Again, I appreciate the time. I appreciate the opportunity you gave me to give you my thinking. I think PW is a wonderful asset. PW can help you. I give you my email address. I can cite it. C. Bryerman, BRYERMAN at Publishers Weekly. If you want to connect and ask questions, be happy to do that. If you have any thoughts about your books or how you can connect with PW, happy to do it. Just put in the subject line Dr. Finance, so I know where it's coming from.
Kevin, you might have a few million people email you. Sure you want to give it?
I hope not, but well, maybe I shouldn't give out my email address, but maybe you should go through Dr. Finance. But look, we're here to connect. Like, I'm sure I'll get a lot of emails.
He has 5 secretaries, so don't worry.
No, I don't have a secretary. I'm my secretary. I'm the worst secretary you can ever believe, but I don't know what's up and down. In fact, I'm working on a project. I try to be very thorough at the beginning, and I just give up because my mind just one step ahead. Look, PW is here to help. You have my email address. If I will try my best to respond. And if you want to connect, there it is. I'm not going to promise a rose garden, but I will try to respond in an orderly manner, and Dr. Finance can vouch for that. but PW can be an asset, and there's ways to do it. I suggest you go to the website, sign up for the newsletters that are free, buy a subscription. That's the easiest, cheapest investment you'll ever have in your career.
What's the website address, Kevin?
www.publishersweekly.com. There's great content there. I would subscribe to the magazine, get familiar with the industry, and then come back with questions, and that's any publication. I'm just not promoting PW, anything that you do. There's a great organization, IBPA. You can do the call letters on the website. It's a nonprofit organization for authors that can help you in your careers. And if you want to reach out to Dr. Finance, you can screen all my calls now.
I'll send it to my 5 secretaries.
Right. So look, I like to help.
Mm-hmm.
And just connect with PW in a way you think you should connect. And that's going to the website. And, Book Life is a great opportunity, www.booklife.com, different requirements from a traditional PW. So there's opportunities out there for you. And I just want to say thank you for giving me this opportunity. You can say I'm very passionate in what I do. I believe in what I do. And I wish everybody a lot of success and luck, but I'll leave with one word: educate.
Well, excellent.
And a financial educate.
Financial educate. Very, very wise. Well, thank you, Kevin. So this has been an interview with Cevin Bryerman, CEO of Publishers Weekly. Very successful man, very good person. And I would definitely encourage you to check out his website. And thanks again, everyone. We're going to close out. You've been watching Dr. Finance Live podcast with Dr. Anthony Criniti IV, also known as Dr. Finance. And this is episode 3 with Cevin Breyerman. So we look forward to seeing you on episode 4 very shortly. Thanks again, everyone, and hope to see you soon. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good day. Good luck. Have fun.